Welcome to our Antarctica book unboxing. So we're traveled all the way to the southern continent in November. So today we're going to be unwrapping and revealing our book for Antarctica, going behind the scenes of this unique book box and destination. And then at the end, I'll be revealing our next destination in January. So stay tuned. So for our book, actually this book was one of the very first books that I read when I was planning our when I was planning my business, Bon Voyage book box. And it really stuck with me. I thought it was so warm and cozy despite being on a frozen continent. And I thought it would be perfect for the winter season. And if you look at this gorgeous wrapping paper, it kind of glistens just like snow. So once you unwrap it, our book for Antarctica is How the Penguins Saved Veronica. This was such a fun adventure, and I think it's a great reminder that no matter what point in life you're at, no matter how old you are, it is never too late for you to have a grand adventure and to grow as a human being. So the star of our novel, as you can probably guess by the title, is Veronica. She is an octogenarian living in Scotland, and she is sitting on quite a bit of money and towards the end of her life, and she's trying to decide what to do with it. She has no family. So one day she is watching a documentary and up rolls and waddles really a little penguin, and she becomes enamored with these Adelie penguins and thinks, there's this little black and white creature that's so innocent, so playful and full of joy. I want to make sure that these creatures are around for generations to come. So she decides to send her money to the British exploration that's preserving the Adelie penguins. But because she's a little cantankerous and lacks trust, she decides that she is going to actually go and visit herself to make sure that the money is being used properly before she gives it. And once Veronica sets herself on a quest, there is no turning back. So this becomes her voyage to Antarctica. And to help you join her on her voyage, I thought what better than to include a little suitcase for your journey. And this is actually where I put our passport sticker. So if you are brand new, if this is your first box or if you've been with us for a while, you probably know that this is your passport sticker that you can then add to your reading passport. So this comes with your first box in our subscription. So if you open it up, you can see there's a place for you to put your passport sticker. And this is where you're also going to do your book review. So you can then travel to a new destination every other month and collect your stickers by the end. So that then becomes your reading passport. And I designed every passport sticker myself. So this is yours to collect. And then to also help you on your journey to get you in the festive spirit, you have your own book buddy. So this is our gorgeous Adelie penguin that my stepdad actually made. So if you've seen my channel, you can see his process of actually making these. So he cuts each out of wood and then paints each individual part and then glues it all together. So these were really fun to make. And then because this is our November book box and we don't have one for December, I thought people are probably starting to put up their holiday decorations. It'd be really fun to include an ornament. And so this was also designed by my stepdad. So it's also cut out of wood. He then paints it. And I thought, so cute. Added my logo, and then you've got the year as well. So I think it'd be really fun. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to collect ornaments in each of our November boxes from over the years. And then we also have our recipes, which normally I either draw from my own personal experience of traveling to that country, and I usually take a cooking class and then I decide to include those in the box, or I get to experiment at home and my husband gets to taste all these different recipes and let me know which ones are his favorites. Because Antarctica is pretty unique in that there's no real human culture to draw from, because there are no native peoples that live there. I did try to taste some of the early explorers recipes, which is, you can imagine, they're trying to survive with very little access to food, no kitchen, nothing that they could grow themselves. And so a lot of them are like seal blubber or things that have a really high fat content that are preserved for months on end. So not really full of flavor. In our travel guide though, I did include, if you're brave enough to try sledging biscuits, there's a recipe here. I do recommend pairing it with some kind of topping like jam or peanut butter or Nutella, something to give it a little bit more moisture. They're like really thick and dry shortbread with not much sugar. So you could, of course, tailor this to your own liking. but kind of fun if you, especially if you want to get kids involved. Maybe watch an Antarctica expedition documentary. And then in our travel guide, I also included more about, of course, the Adelis, the wildlife there. And if you actually wanted to travel there yourself, there are two main ways that you can visit, either through a cruise ship from Argentina, or you could do a flyover in a helicopter, which would obviously be a shorter time period. What's really fun then is you could actually extend your trip. So I would budget maybe another week to actually spend in Chile or Argentina, get to know the culture there, and then start your expedition to Antarctica. There's also a lot of great ways to get hands-on experience and exposure on the continent itself, so you're not just viewing something from the cruise ship. So go on the Zodiacs. Ships actually allow you to sleep overnight on the ice, which sounds super cold, but definitely an eye-opening experience and gorgeous stargazing opportunities. And sometimes you can even visit penguin colonies. So definitely the adventure of a lifetime. And if you're like me, you're not able to go this holiday season, you could still explore and learn more about Antarctica itself and try your hand at some of these recipes from our book. So again, because the recipes aren't being drawn from the culture itself, I thought I'd turn to Veronica for some help. So Veronica has a delicious ginger cake that's mentioned in the book. So this one is really thick and rich. So if you like molasses, this is a delicious recipe, and it's perfect if you add an orange glaze to it or a lemon glaze. I'm wanting to try an orange cranberry glaze for Thanksgiving, so we'll see how that turns out. It's also great on the side of ice cream or some creme anglaise. So rich and sticky, perfect if you're a ginger molasses fan. And then if you want something a little bit more light, this is Patrick, so another character in our book, inspired lemon polenta cake, which, because it's made of polenta, it's naturally gluten-free. So if you've got a gluten-free household or some dinner guests that are coming over, this is a great dessert to serve. My warning to you, this is rich, vibrant, really heavy citrus, so adjust the lemon according to your preference. If you like the lemon loaf from Starbucks, this is probably 3 times that for lemon taste. So again, maybe adding a little bit less if you're not as big of a fan. You could also change out the lemon for orange and you would still get a delicious cake. However, please make sure you use a springform cake pan, because I made the mistake when I made it. I thought, it's fine, I don't need to go and buy another pan. Mine fell apart even after I waited 30 minutes for it to cool. So just because it doesn't have the flour, it doesn't set up the same way as regular cake. So make sure you've got a springform cake pan so you can actually pull those sides away and the cake doesn't fall apart. But this is absolutely delicious and bright, perfect for springtime too, or if you're feeling a little bit of the winter blues. And then we also have our bookmark, which I designed myself as well. I thought this was so fun with our penguins doing all different types of dancing and waddling. And then when I read this quote online, I just thought it was so beautiful that I wanted to include it. This is by Andrew Denton. If Antarctica were music, it would be Mozart. Art, and it would be Michelangelo. Literature, and it would be Shakespeare. And yet it is something even greater. The only place on earth that is still as it should be. May we never tame it. And I thought this was really beautiful because not only does it harken to all these beautiful artists and their different art forms, but also reminding us that Antarctica is still relatively unexplored and it's pristine and beautiful as it is. And so focusing more on that preservation and our natural appreciation for its innate beauty. And that's something that Veronica really learns throughout the novel as well. So I invite you to enjoy, sit back and relax and take this Antarctica expedition with us. And if you've not had a chance to subscribe, we have our upcoming book box in January. So our big reveal of our next destination and your sneak peek into our box. This is our souvenir that my stepdad made. And this is our banyan tree for Cambodia. So Cambodia is our next destination for January. I absolutely loved this novel. It's so rich, vibrant, also has a lot of natural beauty, lots of rich metaphors, and a really, really compelling and based off of a true story tale of love and perseverance. And it's really powerful. So I highly recommend it. For a current subscriber, this is going to be headed to you in January. So with this particular souvenir, because it is quite large and bulky, and I'm worried about it getting kind of disturbed while shipping, what I'm going to be doing is making the boxes and then you'll be putting the trunk and the leaves together yourself. So I'll make a tutorial on how to do that. So a little bit of fun of arts and crafts too to look forward to. So this is our next destination for Cambodia. Again, if you want to subscribe, head to our website, bonvoyagebookbox.com/subscribe. You can also gift a box. So if you need a last minute gift idea for the holiday season, what you can do is actually add that to your cart, click gift, and you can decide you want to send 1 box, 2, 3, or all 6 for the year, and check out. And then if you still want something for your gift recipient to unwrap, on our website, I also have a free download that you could then print out and give to them that explains our concept of Bon Voyage Book Box, and also allows them to check out our social media so they can then see sneak peeks of our next voyage. And I'll be dropping more sneak peeks into our book box and elements as we move forward. So thank you and enjoy your voyage.